Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. Today, I wanted to talk about something interesting that happened when Donald Trump recently gave a speech at CPAC, I believe it was, a conservative conference of some sort where they all, try to one up each other to see who can be the most fascist, who can want to take away the most rights. Anyway, though, actually, some people might be interested to hear that Trump was very, very clear that um, he would not cut Medicare or Social Security, and this is pretty obvious, at least for him. The conservatives, they might always want to cut spending on government programs, no matter what it is. But Donald Trump, he's kind of special. He's a populist, is what we would call him. He kind of goes with whatever policies are most popular with the voter base. And Donald Trump does populism very well, terrifyingly well, hilariously well, um, but mostly terrifying because he does it in a way that allows him to gain power. That's kind of the goal of a lot of populists, whether that be a right wing or left wing populist. Uh, but the idea is that you just do whatever policies are most popular. And unfortunately for Trump, he doesn't really care if those policies are straight up fascist, which is what makes him dangerous. But also, let's not forget that this is Donald Trump is a product of the American political system. He's just exactly what you would expect when you have a system set up the way that it is. It's going to be some sort of weird amalgamation between um, politicians who can lie and charm their way into audiences' hearts and who are able to turn corporate backed policies into actually popular policy, which is exactly what he's done. Obviously, every one of his policies support corporations, capitalism, the continuation of state violence, and everything like that. But he does it in a way that it really captures the American public in a way. I'll have to talk about this more. But yeah, follow. Let me know if this one made any sense. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. Today, I wanted to go back to our good old friend Donald Trump. My last video got a lot of engagement, which I was really excited about. I think that we made a lot of Trump supporters mad, so that probably means we're on the right path. Anyway, I wanted to clear up how I understand populism, which there's a lot of ways you can understand it, and there are people way smarter than me that could explain it better. But my understanding of it, at least from my time studying politics, I don't know. Anyway, populism is a political strategy which aims to gain lots and lots of votes from the average working class, which is a pretty common thing in politics. However, it gets a little bit more specific. It really has an emphasis on identifying the working class and the elite and trying to spread policy positions which are very popular with the working class, and kind of target this other. With left-wing politics, oftentimes this comes in the forms of strong support for unions and increased government spending and stuff like that. In right-wing politics, it oftentimes shows up as big emphasis on anti-immigration, and I think that we're seeing really most recently, especially with Donald Trump, is this identification of a elites or just a corrupt system both in the government and in the media especially is a big one as well. But yeah, it's really just a collection of popular policies that may or may not help the working class, but are nonetheless popular with the working class. Sorry, I'm just watching my dog absolutely destroy the Togepi stuffed animal. Yep, that one's gone. Anyway, so yeah, I think that Trump does populism very well. I think that if you watch his speeches, he um, basically just like continually says talking points and just ups the ante as far as he can go in terms of like how extreme he wants to have the statement be, how outrageous, and just like plays off the crowd. It's amazing the way that he plays off the crowd. Scary again because um, haha, he is a fascist. I was just explaining to someone. Sorry, I have to go. Bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. Today I want to talk about a news story that I saw just a little bit before I started this video. Just trying to find a topic for tonight, and well, it sounds like there was a huge rainstorm up in Northern California, and the dam that stops a river up there broke because it couldn't hold all of the water. Apparently, there was an atmospheric river, essentially a river in the sky, just a huge column of water, I think, and it ends up like making floods and stuff. And anyway, climate change probably doesn't help that. But actually, the more political part is the dam that broke. Um, Whether or not we build dams, well, we kind of need them, unfortunately. It's been a pretty big part of how we control water and usually control flooding. But yeah, it doesn't always work very well. And so we can get even worse floods because we don't build the dam good enough, and then it breaks, and then we have a worse flood than if we just let the river flood like naturally. Um, but yeah, this is a very sad event. 2 people have died. It sounds like this community is like a big agricultural community, but it's somewhat poor and probably is going to be really economically impacted by this. These communities that are reliant on like one industry can really end up suffering when all of their crops and fields got flooded, and you need water for crops, but that's too much. um but yeah, I guess the problem that I see with this is that well, I think that as a society we should be more protective of like the environment, because if we try to build dams on every river and try to think that we can build something that's good enough to stop an atmospheric river, whatever that is, then I think that we really should just like reconsider what the best solution to our problems are. Maybe we don't build a dam. Maybe we would just like deal with the river flooding, because that's what it does, and it's kind of what we need for agriculture and stuff too. So I don't know. See you next time. Like, follow. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. I'm recording this later at night than I usually do, because I forgot to record it earlier, and it's less stone politics and more just tired politics. I'm still definitely a little bit stoned, so don't worry. But anyway, I wanted to talk about the lots of anti-trans legislation that has been going on in America lately. Shout out to my friend Foster for pointing to a protest that is going to occur in Denver. Unfortunately, I probably won't be going, but nonetheless, just bringing up how important this issue is and getting some statistics on just like how all across the country Republican legislators are trying to do things like ban drag shows or ban children's access to gender affirming care and other stuff even more extreme. But lots of various things. And if you did not know, I am trans. That's the trans flag behind me. I used to be a boy, didn't like it. Being a girl is much better for me. And yeah, I think that's just like look into seeing if your state has some of these anti-trans bills trying to be passed. Some of them might have already been passed, but there's going to be more probably, and a lot of them are currently in the process. And if it turns out that some of your states are talking about passing these things, consider protesting or writing your legislatures and stopping these things from happening, just because obviously they're horrible, horrible things. None of these bills are productive. A lot of times they'll hurt more than just trans people anyway. And yeah, it goes to show that Republicans don't have any policy. Their policy is whatever makes their base happy. And currently the culture war is shifted against trans people, and so we gotta be able to fight this backlash and look out for each other, protest if you can, raise the word, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you for liking, following. See you in next time when I hopefully have a better video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. I wanted to go back over my last video where I was talking about anti-trans legislation because I kind of rushed that video and made it late at night. So to catch you up, basically in the great states of America, a lot of different states have been trying to pass, and in some cases actually succeeding in passing anti-trans and just generally anti-queer legislation. A lot of it is very strange, but that's not the point. The point isn't to actually ban drag queens. It's to score political points and to push down a minority and continue the systems of oppression that are at play. Anyway, I wanted to go a little bit more in depth about the issue. I think that it's really important to point out that this is happening at the state level, not necessarily the federal level. The state level, both the state and local governments have been ignored by the Democrats and mainstream progressives. That's kind of an oxymoron, mainstream progressive, but those mainstream political outlets, the Democrats especially, have been kind of playing lax with the state and local governments. Like, there are definitely states like Colorado, mine, and states like California or New York where Democrats dominate, and they're also very corrupt there, of course. But otherwise, I think Republicans have really been focusing on state and local government, and it's paying off for them. State and local government they make a lot more decisions that actually affect your life individually. The federal government is so locked in gridlock, and there's only so much that they really have the power to do. A lot of their stuff are big sweeping changes, and most of it is really just like where to put the money. But at the state and local government, they can make a lot more decisions about your life. And yeah, Republicans have been focusing on those things, and I think that it's time that progressives do the same. So, check to see if your states are trying to pass anti-trans legislation. And if they are, or even just as a country, we should be out there protesting, writing to your state legislatures. You can obviously find those online. And, vote in your local elections. You might be surprised how often they're there and how big of an impact you can have, especially if you tell people to vote as well. So get out there, trans rights, follow, like, see ya. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. Today, I wanted to talk about the riots that have been going on in France. Yes, I love riots, and I love that France just has a culture of protest that is so much more active and willing to go to the lengths that are necessary sometimes to get stuff done. Yeah. So anyway, if you did not know, um, there are large riots and, well, mostly protests going on around France because the president, Emmanuel Macron, um, Django. Sorry, dog's trying to get into his treats that I packed away. Anyway, so yeah, Emmanuel Macron, he decided to raise the age of retirement from 62 to 64. So what that means is that people get their retirement benefits like 2 years later for some bullshit reason about the economy. And rightfully so, people started, fucking shit up. So they've been going out and protesting this action, calling it undemocratic, because he also didn't even do this like through the legislation. He did almost similar to America, the executive order to do this. So it was just he decided to do this without any elected representatives, having a debate about it and, going through the proper means to actually enact this change, because they knew that like no politician would be willing to do something like this. I think that we saw this in America as well. If you take away people's benefits that they know that they're going to get or that they rely on at the moment, that's not going to go well for you. So yeah, France is rioting. I think that it's great. Stay out there. Emmanuel Macron, if you're watching this, you're a little bitch, and you need to raise or not raise the retirement age. Keep it the same. Lower it. Yeah, lower it. That's what you should have to do now. So yeah, if you have any more questions about this, I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. I do think that rioting is normal and appropriate in even something as simple as this, and I applaud, people going out there and showing that they're not going to take shit if you try to take away what is rightfully theirs, what has been democratically decided as theirs. So anyway, follow, like, see you next time. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. Today, I wanted to talk about my thoughts, my theories on like the connection between transphobia, obviously, then transgender people, and the patriarchy, which is what I've started to believe the core of where transphobia comes from, where a lot of queer phobia comes from. So if you don't know, the patriarchy is just a very simple feminist idea that currently the world is set up to benefit men at a very fundamental level, and in that case, oppress all other genders. And yes, genders plural are oppressed under patriarchy, not just women. The whole gender spectrum is really actually burdened by this system of patriarchy. Even men don't always benefit from patriarchy. It can be it can be a little bit self-destructive as well. Think just about toxic masculinity and the mental health crises that go on in cis male communities. Anyway, though, specifically transphobia, that challenges. Okay, so yeah, trans people, we challenge the patriarchy by, well, simply existing. I forgot if I already said that, but yeah, no matter how you come to describe your gender, it ends up being kind of like an FU to patriarchy. As a trans woman, I think that the way that a patriarchal society sees me is, wow, you had all the benefits and privileges of being a man, and you gave it up to become the more inferior sex. And it's like, yeah, because that's what I wanted. That's what makes me the happiest. And then on the other side, with transmasculine people who are assigned female at birth, um, there's kind of this idea that, oh, you transitioned because you want to escape sexism, which is totally untrue. But again, that kind of idea actually continues to reinforce the idea that being a woman is less desirable. So I hope that these things kind of were an interesting insight to you. Fuck the patriarchy, tear it down, believe in yourself, trans rights, all those good things. Like, follow, see you in the next video. Hello everyone and welcome back to Stoned Politics. And today I wanted to talk about criminalization. And when I say criminalization, I'm referring to policies which make something less legal, whether that's simply restricting it or full on making it illegal. And my problem with this sort of strategy of solving political problems, if you will, and I'll give examples in a bit, but my biggest problem with this style is that, well, when you criminalize something, usually it's something that is occurring that is supposedly bad, that is happening, that shouldn't occur, at least in the policymaker's view. But the problem with that is that when you criminalize something that happens, oftentimes there's a reason why that thing was happening, and it's not something that can be solved by just like punishing people for doing it. Oftentimes there are environmental and systemic issues at play which require, like economic investments and social overhauls of various things. That last sentence didn't make sense. That one was word salad. Don't believe any shit that I say on that last sentence. But what I'm trying to say is that, to give some examples, abortions, they happen. The right-wing party wants to criminalize abortions, but that's not going to stop abortions. We know that just happens. Abortions just happen, and people are going to do them whether they're legal or not. And the safest thing to do in that case is to make it at least regulated. That way you can actually make sure that people are getting abortions safely, because if you don't allow them to get it safely, then people get abortions in unsafe ways. And that's just, that to me seems a lot more realistic to try to solve something that way. Same with drug use, is that like a lot of times there's addiction at play, and if you make it illegal, turns out people don't care. If you make something that they are addicted to illegal, then they're just going to try to get it anyway and break the law, especially if they've already done that, especially if they've, been targeted by the political or the justice system, and, it constantly has to watch his back anyway. This one didn't make a ton of sense. I'm really high. But I do hope that there is something of truth in there. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stoned Politics. Sorry I haven't made a video in a little while, but today I wanted to talk about how I see the relationship between leftism, if you want to call it that, the right wing, and moderatism, or centrism. So anyway, specifically, I'm very interested in the role of the moderates in the political world. And the way that I see it is that the moderate is very much a benefit to the right wing, because the moderate position really leans more towards a conservative position. So obviously this is a very simplified understanding of things. Generally, though, I am going off the idea that, the left wing or the progressives want to change things, generally, and the right wing or the conservatives They want to keep things generally the same, or even return to former stances on certain things, definitely more traditional. And the moderate, they like to say that they want to find a compromise between these two things. But unfortunately, that compromise usually leans more towards not doing anything at all. And even if the compromise does turn out to be doing something new, something that could be a good policy, it might have good benefits, but it is much more likely to be incremental and not actually something that solves the core issue, which is at play in whatever given topic we're talking about. So, yeah, that's just kind of how I see it, is that the leftists, they want to change things. And I think a lot of those policies are good. Not all of them. I actually disagree with some leftists on certain things. And the conservatives want to keep seeing things the same. The moderates kind of go, well, the compromise is either keep things the same, that's what ends up happening, or, okay, fine, we'll do something very small. Hi, Django. The compromise might be something very small that doesn't get to the root of what the problem actually is, and in that kind of maintains the status quo, just with a new layer of paint, I guess. So yeah, tell me what you think. Let me know your thoughts about this subject in the comments, and if you like the video, like it, follow, everything like that, and I'll see you next time. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stoned Politics. It's been a little while. I took a little bit of a tea break, but I'm back, and I'm higher than ever. So hopefully these videos are going to get even better. So today, I wanted to talk about actually something cool that's happening. Something cool that could happen. There's a bill being introduced in Congress from some guy in, I think it was Massachusetts, Markey or something like that. I don't know. And I think one other Democrat that kind of like are co-sponsoring it. But the big thing is that it's a transgender Bill of Rights, essentially. It's going to add gender identity to the list of protective classes to the Civil Rights Act, which I think is incredible. One of the biggest moves that I think still needs to be made. And it's going to do some things to try to protect like healthcare and banning stuff like conversion therapy, stuff that we should have been doing for a long time. It actually also increases access for abortion, which is a great little add-on. And there's some other things. But yeah, it's great. You should talk to your politicians, look up your representatives, and write to them and tell them, hey, I really like this. You can look up more about the bill if you want, but it's just basically like adding a bunch of civil rights that should have been added a long time ago for trans people and non-binary people. I'll mention that as well. So yeah, I believe that Bernie Sanders has also co-sponsored it, and I want to look up more information. So let me get back to you with a little bit more. Oh yeah, the biggest thing that I wanted to tell you I forgot about is it also creates a position within the Department of Justice called a liaison. Basically, they're making someone whose job it is to bug the Attorney General and just piss the shit out of them and make them actually enforce these things and actually make sure that, trans people are being protected under the law. So that's a huge thing as well. I think that this could be a really big thing and a really big step in the right direction, especially as we've seen like more anti-trans rhetoric come out from Republicans especially. I think it would be great if we can really push for this and, get some rights, at least legally, down before, Republicans continue to try to pull them away. So yeah, go talk to your representatives and tell them that you want to support the Trans Bill of Rights. You want them to vote for it. Thank you. I'll be back with more videos. Follow. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. Today, I actually wanted to talk about why I haven't been posting as much lately. And actually, I think that there's a political angle to this, which is why I want to talk about it. So anyway, lately I've been feeling extremely burned out, just extremely overwhelmed, depressed, and yeah, just feeling like nothing matters, nothing, like it's so hard to do anything at all. Um, and I think some of that as well is that I'm autistic, and so my executive dysfunctioning and compulsive behaviors just get really bad when I'm feeling really burned out. But I wanted to talk about this because I think that it's a good moment to talk about how our society is really not set up to handle people having burnout, which is just a natural part of life, whether they're neurodivergent or not. Being burned out is really sucks under capitalism because you always have to go to work, and you always have other responsibilities on top of that. Just being adults. Obviously, I'm a young adult, and so a lot of things are kind of hard for me just because I'm still figuring stuff out. But I think that people really undermine how many responsibilities your average adult has and how difficult that can be for someone even temporarily feeling burned out, and especially for people that are neurodivergent. Um, and I think that we should, talk about that more and discuss some better solutions. Maybe people shouldn't have to work every single fucking day of their life in order to simply have a house and enough food to eat. And I think there's also ways that we can do policies and actually design our cities to make it easier for people to do the basic things they need to do every day: cleaning, getting food and preparing food, and other stuff like that, doing chores and laundry and stuff. Those are all things that are really difficult to do, at least from my experience, when you're feeling burned out, and it's something that you don't have a ton of control over. And so you can end up really behind on both your work responsibilities, in my case, school responsibilities, but also your life responsibilities, your responsibilities that are required for taking care of yourself and your dog and the people that you love in your life. And I think that that's kind of unfair. I think that we should try to make systems that allow us to take a break every now and then, for real, and to break even from some of those personal responsibilities, or at least make it easier. All right, bye. Follow. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. Today, I wanted to talk about something kind of high level and very theoretical and stuff. But I wanted to talk about how transness and feminism relates. And specifically, I think I want to talk about why being a TERF, or a trans exclusionary radical feminist, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Because, at least to my interpretation, I think that there's a lot of fundamentals of feminism that also kind of make it so that trans people are immediately accepted afterwards. And let me try to explain what I mean. So I think that one of the biggest foundational concepts within feminism is the difference between sex and gender, right? That gender is something different applied to society, or something that society creates, something that is socially constructed, right? And so because of that, the feminist argument is that there is not a natural means for women to be subjugated and men to be privileged. That is unnatural. That's where that comes into play. And that the differences between men and women, aside from biological differences, and we're talking about cis people here, that is the only real difference, and that the differences socially that we have constructed are, well, socially constructed and can change. The problem for TERFs, people who are feminists but think that trans women are invaders of women's spaces, the problem with that kind of reasoning is it totally goes against that concept that gender is socially constructed. Because, well, gender is socially constructed, and if you try to reduce trans women to men who want to invade women's spaces, that kind of goes against that very core concept of feminism. And I think you see this a lot of times is a lot of TERFs turn out to have different ideas about gender and gender roles, and oftentimes can go against what a lot of feminists do believe and end up saying anti-feminist things. And I think that that's because there's a contradiction between trying to be transphobic and maintaining that sex and gender is different. So yeah, that contradiction kind of makes it so that, like, if you're saying trans women are not women, then feminism kind of falls apart a little bit. Anyway, thank you, follow, like, see you next time. Hey everyone, emergency video here just because I have some thoughts that I need to get out. This isn't really a stone politics video, but I guess it could be. Hold on. Okay. Now we can do some stone politics. This is just a small one, a baby video, but the idea, the talking point that trans women invading women's spaces is bad somehow is just ridiculous because of one very crucial thing. So if someone comes into the women's bathroom and pretends to be trans, whatever that means, and like does something inappropriate, you know, sexually harasses someone, you know, looks like in their stall or something like that while they're just trying to take a pee, or like, you know, especially if they assault them, yeah, those things are already illegal. They're already bad and they're already illegal. And trans people being invited into these spaces doesn't change that. It's just, it's already illegal. Like, no matter who does it, someone pretending to be trans, someone who is trans, someone who is cis, man, woman, non-binary, it does not matter. If you, like, look at someone in their stall while in the bathroom, or if you touch someone inappropriately, anything like that, that's already bad. It's already illegal. So, yeah, just beware if you hear this talking point. It's just straight up transphobia. Just instantly. It's just like, it's so blatant, and a lot of people fall for it, I think. So, be on the lookout for that. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. Today I kind of wanted to follow up on the video that I made a little while ago about TERFs and transness and feminism and how those things connect. And I got a lot of comments, a lot of transphobic comments. I guess that kind of comes with the territory. But a lot of comments saying stuff like that trans women are not women, for example, because of basic biology, because of science, because of, you know, you all have heard that talking point before. And, like, obviously, that doesn't really make sense. Like, actually, a lot of scientists and a lot of scientific organizations and healthcare organizations all recognize being transgender as, you know, just something that is and happens and that people experience and that sometimes requires medical care. But yeah, obviously getting past the distinction between sex and gender is a huge barrier for people. And so I think that we saw that in a lot of the comments. And obviously, you know, this idea that it's basic biology is coming from an ignorant place of understanding that the only option is that there are men who are male who have penises and women who are female who have vaginas. And that's obviously just a very limited understanding of how the world works. And oftentimes if you get into it, they turn out to have not so great opinions about, like, intersex people and stuff as well. But anyway, that challenge is an interesting one because it is hard to, like, overcome when you're trying to talk to people and talk them out of and, like, convince them of something. So I don't have the solution to that one. Let me know if you've had any experiences in which you were able to convince someone that was really hung up on that point, and, like, what worked for you. I have found that trying to appeal to, like, scientific organizations and institutions doesn't really work. And obviously that can also kind of backfire in that uh, scientific organizations can also just be transphobic. So I don't know. It'll be an interesting and a difficult one to solve, but uh, yeah, I wish I had an answer and a better one to the end to this video, but I think that's what happens sometimes when you try to think about stuff too deep and when you're too high. Anyway, like, follow, see you next time. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. Today, I wanted to talk about the elections, the 2024 elections, which are far away, but things are happening now, and the news is starting to talk about it, and things are forming. So it's going to look like it's going to be a rematch of Biden and Trump. The Republicans could come up with someone different, but Trump has too much sway still within the party and with the base, and no one else is really putting up a good running. It is not looking like there's no one else that's really even just prepared to be able to try to take on a presidential candidate campaign. So yeah, it's probably going to be a rematch. Biden's probably going to win again, probably by more this time just because of incumbency advantage and because he's already the president and going for re-election, that is. And Trump is even less popular than last time. Now, a lot can happen, and Trump is always a wild card, but yeah, it's probably just going to be another, at this point, 5 more years of Biden. So, yay. Oh my gosh, I care so much. So at least it's not Trump, most likely. I'm just like not even considering this election to be really all that competitive. I don't think that it's going to be. But I think that that is also unfortunate because that means that Biden doesn't really have a reason to do anything good. He's just going to do whatever fits his policy. And really, he's a relatively wealthy, straight cis old white guy. So he's going to do nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you were at the top of society and you could change anything, but you didn't really care, like you had everything that you needed, and like everything else kind of seemed like small fish problems, like what are you going to do? You're just going to keep things the same. You're going to do nothing. You're going to do like your boring parts of the job, stressful parts of the job too. But you're going to ultimately do nothing. And that's unfortunate because that makes people like Trump powerful. When you have someone that says we need to fix the system, which we do, and we have someone that is speaking to the people, the working class, and connecting with their class antagonisms and stuff, Marxism. When you connect those things, it's dangerous. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. It's been quite a while since I made one of these videos, and, well, part of the reason for that has been that I've been really depressed. And, I figured if I'm going to get back into this, let's talk about depression. And let's talk about why depression is political, because it is. Like everything in life, basically anything can be political. Because politics is just who gets what when, who gets whatever resource at what time, if they get it at all. So obviously, with depression, a huge thing is simply one, how people talk about depression and how it is understood culturally. That influences how people get treated, how people get treatment, and how like depression works within your life, your economy, and just the way that you interact with everyone else. So yeah, depression is of course political, and I think that the reason why it's so political in our current day is because of our mental health care system and the fact that it's fundamentally broken. I mean, like it always has been, but currently the issue is that it's
currently it's just really not set up to be able to handle the needs of Americans, right? And I think a big thing that could fix that, obviously, would be universal healthcare. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that could help America. That is like the tiniest a bit of politically possible, even if it feels impossible to do something like even a public option. But I do think that it's probably the best like single policy that has been like introduced at all. Just because the American healthcare system is such a problem and it has such like a rooted effect to our problems, just because like obviously people's health really affects how the rest of their life works. And so yeah, I think that I would be less depressed if there was a universal healthcare system. Of course, that's not the biggest issue, and maybe I'll talk about that another time. Right now, I think that I need to smoke some more weed, and which is more effective than any antidepressant I've ever taken. And yeah, this might get privated later. Hello everyone and welcome back to Stoned Politics. Today I wanted to talk about Christian nationalism. This is a political movement, I guess you could call it, that has started to become more and more influential in American politics, for better or actually no, just entirely for worse. Basically, if you don't know what Christian nationalism refers to, it's the idea that essentially Christianity is a part of the American identity, and so American law should be should reflect what the Bible says in like typical Christian doctrine. Obviously, I don't think that is the best way to run a country. I think that excludes all of the people that have that live here that don't want to live with Christian doctrine as law, which is a lot of people, including me, of course. As a Satanist and as an atheist and as someone who would be persecuted in a lot of Christian nationalists' ideas of what the state should be. And I wanted to talk about as well, like, the interesting part and probably the more difficult part about dealing with this type of ideology is that they have fundamentally a different idea of how the government should be run. In reality, what they want is a theocracy, the supremacy of the church, and religious doctrine then communicating or translating into how the state is run. And then you get Saudi Arabia, and that just is a very regressive idea to me. I think that I hate America as much as the next anarchist, but I do really appreciate that, like, one of the founding values that I think we can see very clearly in the founding of America is religious freedom. That's why a lot of people came to the American colonies, was to escape religious persecution. And I think that is a good value that we should maintain. We need to be being a secular state, I think, is like the way to go forward that doesn't end with people being oppressed and more people's freedoms being taken away. So yeah, bad Christian nationalism, go away. I just want to be trans and live my life and be a little girl. Bye. Hello everyone and welcome back to Stone Politics. I know it's been a very long time since I made one of these videos. Kind of relevant. Let's talk about healthcare, and specifically I want to talk about how bullshit it is how in America healthcare is kind of seen as like a luxury. Really, that's what it's seen as. It's you hope you don't have to actually get healthcare.
even though you at some point will probably need to anyway. And if you regularly need to, especially if you have a disability, or even if you just like have bad luck and get hurt or sick often, or even, sick like with cancer or many other things, yeah, it's stupid. And I think we all know that it's stupid. And we still don't have like universal health care for some reason. Well, actually, there's a very good reason. And it's because of corporations, of course, and capitalism, of course. And really, the reason why in America we've held on to private healthcare for so long is because when you tie healthcare to someone's job, it makes it so that it makes it a lot harder to change jobs. Anyway, as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted. Yeah, healthcare is used as a bargaining chip to keep you in shitty jobs, because it makes it a lot harder to change jobs or go out and risk your job and try to unionize your workplace or just advance any type of control over your workplace. Simply ask for a raise. It makes it harder because if you lose your job, you lose healthcare, and well, you kind of need that. Even if you are healthy, there's always that risk that you can suddenly get hurt or sick, and all of a sudden you have insane hospital bills that the hospitals themselves, well, the capitalist portion of these private hospitals, the people who own the hospitals, they love charging crazy amounts of money for simple procedures. And, we've all seen the crazy bills that people get. Simply having a child, bringing a new child into this world, which I have conflicted feelings about, but I would say if you're if you want to raise a child, wouldn't we want to like support that and not make it thousands of dollars to simply give birth? Yeah, so it's all stupid and convoluted, and it really is just another point of control. And of course, there is a problem of scarcity within healthcare, as there is with any resource. But we kind of decided the way that we solve that problem is you can get healthcare if you're rich, and that's it. That's where it ends. Otherwise, good luck. Hope your insurance can cover it. And if not, I guess you'll just be saddled with debt forever. So, anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to try to start doing these a little bit more, so follow and like and everything like that, and we'll see you in the next one. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stone Politics. Today, I wanted to talk about another topic kind of similar to my last one with, like, medicine, and today I want to go into, like, how really we don't have a ton of agency when we get our healthcare, and there's a few different reasons for it. And capitalism is definitely part of it, but also just like the philosophy of how we think about healthcare and medicine in especially America. I'm not sure how much this applies to Europe, and especially probably not very much at all to the rest of the globe. But yeah, obviously simply the cost of medicine in America really restricts our ability to, get the treatments that we want. Which really sucks. And also, we also have to fight with private insurance companies who seem to always be a little finicky about what they're going to cover. And they also make it like way more confusing than it needs to be to like simply get the things that you need. But I think that I also want to talk about how we don't have a ton of choices over our treatment as well. Of course, the profit incentive that these big pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies have is to focus on band-aid solutions to our symptoms instead of actually going deeper and trying to address our health problems, the roots to our health problems. And to be fair, those
oftentimes can be like social political things, like simply having housing or, you know, access to healthy food and stuff like that. But yeah, this has been kind of relevant for me lately because I am trying to go off my antidepressants. I am trying to wean myself off of them. And that was not advised of me. And so, sorry, doctors, if you're watching this. But I want to talk about how oftentimes we kind of just accept that whatever the doctor says is what is right for our bodies, which is not always true. Obviously, trust your doctors. You know, I think that it's good that we generally go with what they say. But I think that there is a big problem, especially when it comes to mental health and when it comes to other like outlier kind of conditions, and even just like issues with people of you know, marginalized backgrounds, especially women, just because there's so many men in the field and so much of the science has been focused on men. But then also queer people, obviously, extremely relevant for like STIs. You can remember the that whole issue, and that goes into like education and stuff too. But yeah, there's a lot of ways in which we really don't have a ton of control, or at least it feels difficult to try to challenge or push back on your doctor. And maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just that I have anxiety, and so I'm not very good at like speaking up for myself, I guess, in that way, especially when it's like someone that I just don't really know. But I would definitely say that as a trans person, it has been difficult to go into medical places more, aside from like my hormone doctor, who of course is like a lot more like inclusive. Like the whole idea is that's a gender clinic essentially. But yeah, it's difficult when you can tell that your doctor doesn't fully understand everything that you've got going on. And I think that this is another thing with other races as well, and the disability community in general. And so, I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm going way over. Usually I try to keep these to 3 minutes, but they upgraded the time limit, and now I can go all the way to 10, which is dangerous. But anyway, thank you for watching. Have a great conversation in the comments. You know, I love seeing it, and you know, tell me your philosophies when it comes to like healthcare and stuff like that. And there's a lot of ways that we can tie these things together. And yeah, I'm rambling. See you in the next one. Follow, like, everything like that. See ya.